Okay.
right?
Is Mike still coming on? Yeah. Is Mike still coming on?
Yes. So we were just on another interview. We just wrapped up 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
So yeah, he's, as far as I know, he's planning to be here. I will admit, and he will be okay with me admitting this. He's not so tech savvy, so it might take him a minute to figure out how to join.
I get it. I
But he
totally
will.
understand.
He'll be here.
Let me just tell you. Okay. Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. And pardon our little technical blah going on here. But I don't know. My earphones are not working, so that's annoying. But I'll try to talk loud. And we're going to be discussing the Quit Sugar Summit that is going to be happening September 6th through the 12th. And I'm super excited about this. And I was honored to be one of the ones that were interviewed. And so I'm super excited about that. It was a great honor. So if you want, Danny, if you want to go ahead and kind of talk about your background while we wait for Mike. So go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, hello, everybody. And super excited, Amber, to have you on the summit this year. And for everybody listening, like I haven't watched your interview yet because Mike got to interview you, Amber. So I'm really, really excited.
Yes.
When the summit is over and I have my quote unquote downtime, I will be watching all the interviews that Mike did and soaking in all that great information. So I can't wait to listen to your interview. I have no doubt that it was incredible. And we're just so lucky to have you out there in the world. I know everybody watching and following you is so lucky to have you and all the work that you're doing. So yeah, this summit, I mean, my journey, I guess, background, you'll hear more about it on the summit. Mike and I actually do interview each other. So we're speakers at the summit as well. So you'll hear a bit more about my background there. But the quick Coles notes is, my journey to sugar freedom really started about 6 years ago. And I was on a trip in South America and I had quit my job, my corporate job, and decided there was more to life. And my husband and I went and traveled for a year in South America. And on that journey, we really started developing a different relationship with food and started seeing the way that people related to food quite differently down there. And, going through our own, eating junk for about 9 months of that trip, we started really feeling the effects of, all the sugar, all the potatoes we were eating, all the junk. And towards the end of that trip, we went through what I call our accidental detox. So we were in the middle of the Colombian jungle, living off the land, and there was just no junk there. There was no processed food to eat. So we were eating whole, real foods. And that was kind of when, my eyes got wide open to like, what's going on in my body? Wow, I'm having sugar cravings. Like I really started putting those things together and noticing that sugar had a huge control over me and my life. And when I looked at my genetic, path that I was on, that I've been passed down through both my mother and father's side of the family, I saw, a lot of every single debilitating chronic disease that exists. I mean, it's in my genetics, it's in my family. And I knew that, I had to kind of have my wake up call, luckily before anything really horrible happened, and I could start making those changes now so that wasn't my future. So that really fired me up. And coming home from that trip, I really just dove into my own health and eating and starting to switch to whole real foods, noticed how my body changed, and really started healing my relationship with sugar, which then led me to being extremely passionate about helping other women do the same thing. And now that's what I do, and helping women empower themselves and build a healthy relationship with sugar from the inside out. So it's such rewarding work, and it, definitely stems from my own journey, which I'm sure yours does as well. And it's been quite a wild ride. And I've been a part of the summit as a co-host and behind the scenes doing a lot of things as well for the last 2.5 years. Wow. It's an incredible honor. It's an incredible honor. This is by far our biggest and most transformational summit yet. We've got some incredible speakers like yourself, that are coming on, and other speakers who we've never had on before that really excited about. So hopefully you're all, and I'm sure you've got that linked up, the link, if anybody wants to come and join. And we're kicking off on Monday.
Definitely.
The countdown.
That's so exciting. It's so exciting. And I'm super excited this year too, because I know a lot of the speakers and I know they're fabulous and they have so much great stuff to say. So yeah, I think this is going to be just fantastic. And I'm kind of ashamed to say that I have not been part of the Quit Sugar Summit. I didn't really even know about it. It just kind of came around, and I kind of heard a little bit about it last year, but I didn't really think much about it. And then this year, you know, I kind of paid more attention. And then when I was asked to be a speaker, I was like, whoa. So I started digging into it, and I was like, how did I not know this? I mean, I was following Quit Sugar Summit, but at the same time, I still didn't really hear enough about it. And I'm like, how is that possible? Because this is such a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And especially with it being free and online. I mean, so there's no reason why people can't join. And so it makes that information available to everybody. Anyway, hey y'all, how are y'all doing? Let's hear some good stuff. Do y'all have any questions you want to ask Danny or Mike about the summit, or anything really? Any questions? We can go ahead and get those while I can read them. That would be awesome.
Yes, ready. And I can't talk and type at the same time. Not one of my skills. So I sent email to Mike.
So I get you. Well, Danny, okay, while we're waiting for Mike, I'll keep an eye down here. If you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about how in the world did you get involved with the summit? I mean, how did this come across?
Yeah, so I mean, Mike's going to obviously share his great story around this, but for me, it was actually a really interesting story, and we share this on our interviews, you know, with Mike and myself in the summit. But the Coles Notes is that, you know, when I really realized that sugar was, you know, something that I wanted to help people overcome and get back in the driver's seat with, I started looking around online with other people that were helping, you know, in the sugar space. And I found Mike on Instagram actually, and just reached out to him and said, you know, love what you're doing, love what you're sharing, like would love to connect and collaborate. And we met up, and the rest is history. You know, we really connected and had a lot obviously to talk about and share in terms of stories and support, you know, in helping people get off sugar. And I really loved everything that he was doing. And from there, he invited me. I mean, they had a team member leave from the summit, and they invited me to come in and be part of the team. So that was about 2.5 years ago. And I'm so honored and grateful to this day to be able to be a part of the event.
That's awesome. I love that story. Okay, so I hear, like, I keep seeing this, how sugar really isn't bad. You just need to moderate it, okay? And we know how well that works. What is your opinion about that?
Oh, such a hot topic and a great question. So, and Mike and I hope we can figure out how to get in here, but because we kind of have different viewpoints on this. And I think one of, just like, hey, Danielle, you know, one of the things that, you know, is so important, like Danielle's saying, is there's no one way. So it is such a unique journey for each individual. And, you know, for a huge, you know, portion of people, there is a very real, realistic truth that you may have those really addictive genes, right? And have those very addictive qualities. And we cannot, I would like to talk to somebody who actually makes that argument that sugar is not addictive, because as you'll see, obviously on the summit, you know, people like Dr. Robert Lustig and Dr. Johnson, I mean, the science is there in terms of what sugar is doing to our brain and how it is really perpetuating addictive behaviors. So that's not even a question in terms of science anymore, people. But it's how do we get off it, and how do we maybe get to a life where we do moderate. And in my opinion, in my work over the last 6 years in my role with sugar, I have seen that there is a very real way to get to a healthy relationship with sugar where you can have some. Now, I know that a lot of people say, Danny, you're crazy. That's not true. But that's my opinion and what I've seen working with hundreds of clients now. In the missing piece that often people overlook when trying to get off of sugar is the inner work. And what I mean by that is actually discovering the root causes of where your patterns around food are coming from. And most people avoid those because they are difficult. It is very difficult to face your emotional demons, your traumas, your identity, your belief systems. It is not easy work. Most people skim over it. They don't really do it. They don't tackle it. And therefore they're forever on the sugar roller coaster, thinking it's impossible to give it up and can never handle it. So what I've seen is when you actually can heal those root causes and those foundational pieces, my clients and myself included can get to a healthy place where they can moderate. They can be in the driver's seat. And it's a really, that's what I call sugar freedom, is like this freedom to choose, but being in a place of control and intention, and out of a choice of self-love versus a choice of addictive patterning and behaviors. And that takes years, by the way. Okay, yes, you do need to get it out of your system. You do need to get off sugar for a period of time. And committing to this inner work takes years. I'm still on the journey. I'm still working on some of my pieces and continuing to learn and grow myself. But it's pretty life-changing when you commit to the deeper work, as opposed to just the surface level detox. Really powerful.
It is. And I think what people don't understand is like they're so reluctant to give that up because they don't want to. And I get it, because I was a sugar person. Chocolate was my thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would just
Mike is here.
All other. Oh, yeah. Where is he?
Sugar-free man.
All right. Okay.
I see him. Sorry to cut you off there. We got to get him in while he's there.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Come here. All right.
Yeah, chocolate, right? That's such a good one. It's funny, actually, the joke in my family is that my husband's actually the chocoholic and I'm not. Like, I could take it or leave it, chocolate. I don't know. There must be something wrong with my hormones. But
hey, Mike, can you see if you can request to be on the live? I'm not seeing how I can add you. I had no problem with Danielle.
Yeah, and you've done 3 before, Amber, you said. Yeah. So
3,
Mike, find your name in the comments, Mike, and right next to there should be you can request to join. That's how I joined.
Yeah. For some reason.
This might be his first ever Facebook Live or Instagram Live. I don't know. That's exciting.
We're breaking in because
my very first Clubhouse meeting today. So Mike and I are doing all the firsts today.
Oh wow, that's cool. Okay, we're trying to figure this out. Somebody had asked, what do I do as a coach for somebody who is really not really wanting to give up the sugar? Well, the problem is, them not realizing that sugar is bad as it is. I have honestly not had a single client who actually believe that, because the clients, by the time they come to me, they have already pretty much made up the decision. And so it's not like I'm having to convince them. They already know they have an issue. So they're asking me for help to break that issue. It's not about, oh, should I? No, I think most people have common sense and they know that. And if they're saying these kind of things, they're not ready for help. I mean, I'm sorry, they're just not, because that is too much. You know what I'm saying, Dan?
I get it. I totally right. Hear you. And I can relate to that on a personal level as well. Like there is, and anyone watching, right? You might not be ready, but you might also be ready, but sabotaging yourself and pretending you're not ready. So be careful there. Where are you not ready versus just being held back by fear, which you totally blow through and your life will change. Oh, yeah. But there's people in my life, like very really, my mom, she is not ready and I'm here to support her as soon as she is, but it's not my role to force her to do anything. I can't do that. Yeah. If she's not ready, I can't help her. And same thing as a coach. Like I will never work with anybody who isn't ready. I mean, they're not coming to ask for help in the first place, but I'm not going to force that on anyone, because you're not actually going to have the results or the commitment level that you need unless you make that decision. Right. And we all come to that decision at a different pace, at a different way. And I know for so many, the Quit Sugar Summit is really that epiphany, that life-changing moment where they go, I had no idea I was eating so much sugar. I had no idea that, this was sugar and what this was doing to my body and all these things. And it really starts being that eye-opener to committing to making that change and wrapping your head around it a little bit. I mean, it took me a while to wrap my head around, like, I'm going to have to go off of this. Like, how is that possible? What am I going to eat? Like all the things that I didn't know existed, which, by the way, if anybody's using that excuse, like, well, everything has sugar in it and I won't have anything to eat. I'm calling you out all on that right now, because what happens when we're eating a certain way is we literally put blinders on. We're like wearing these glasses, and we don't see all the other abundance of options and things because we're focused on this one thing. Like for instance, if you're a vegan, right, or you're carnivore, all you're seeing is like meat, or all you're seeing is like this certain way of eating. And when you start to remove things, like this was my experience when I removed sugar, it forced me to look at other recipes. It forced me to go down different aisles in the grocery store. And I realized there were all these spices and flavors and things that I never knew existed because I'd just been so in the usual pasta and pizza realm. So, you know, really, yay! He's here.
I had to do it on my phone. I couldn't do it. I was trying to do it on the computer. It wouldn't work, so I had to do it on the phone.
Mike. No, Mike. No.
Yeah. I wish. I hate that they won't let you use the computer, because then I could have, you know, I don't have my glasses on. I admit I'm vain. I don't like the glare and all that, so I take my glasses off, and so it makes it harder to read. So I would love the computer, but no.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Welcome,
Maybe
Mike.
one day.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this. This is great.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we kind of got off to a little bit of a rough start, but I think we're good now. Yay!
You did it. We were making fun of you while you were gone, Mike.
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
Your tech skills.
Okay, it's all right. I heard you burning. I'm trying to figure out how to get on myself.
Awesome.
Hey, congrats, Brenda. It's her day 60. I love that, Brenda. Huge shout out. Congrats. That's huge.
Yeah.
Your treat. Yes, the summit is your treat, and it's going to be your motivator to keep you going, Brenda.
Congrats, Brenda. That's awesome. Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background? Danny's already done that. So if you'll just kind of tell us a little bit of how you got into what you're doing. And then go ahead and go into the summit, how you started that, how that whole thing came about.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this. We're excited about the summit. It's just, it's been a labor of love for many years, and now finally it's getting kind of big. So we're really excited about it. You know, my history is I got sober from alcohol and drugs about 36 years ago, but a couple of days ago. But then I read a book called Sugar Blues, and Sugar Blues was very popular in the 80s and really helped a lot of people. And I just loved the history lesson of it all. And so I tried it. It took me a couple of years, but I finally did get sugar, flour, and caffeine free. Then I raised a couple kids sugar free. That was just something, I don't know why I did that. I don't know how I talked my wife at the time into doing that, but no flour, no sugar, no caffeine while she was pregnant until they were about 6 years old. Then we kind of gave in. But anyway, after that, I went on to have a regular life, kind of a regular business life. And kids always said I should write a book about sugar because obviously their childhood was a little different than the average childhood. And so I finally did that, and I got sugaraddiction.com, bought sugaraddiction.com about 11 years ago. And I started coaching about 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 maybe. And that's when it really exploded. I mean, we started building a platform and a community and Facebook and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's just been a labor of love. I don't know why I was blessed with this thought process that I needed to help bring this information out to more people. My career was in the internet world, so I figured I'd use that to good, and that's how I ended up here. And that's the short version.
I love it. I think that's wonderful. And I love that back in the 80s, you actually, you know, kind of figured this thing out. Because I'll tell you what, back in the 80s, it was all about sugar. So
Mike's the original.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Trailblazer.
It's an interesting thing. It's interesting. A couple, you know, we have an author on the summit this year, which was one of the original authors of Sugar Buster. So in the 80s, it was Sugar Blues, and the guy was actually married to Gloria Swanson, the famous movie star, right? And so it had quite a history, and it sold millions of copies. And so people got interested, but no one continued with it. No one could make it stick. Same thing with Sugar Busters. Sugar Busters in the 1995 sold 5 million copies. 5 million copies. We have the author on. And no one can continue it because it takes a little bit more work or understanding than just quitting for 20 days or 30 days. You've got to really make it a lifestyle. And there is an addictive quality to it that most people don't understand and can't get by. So that's why the summit is so exciting for us, is we have a lot of both addiction experts and health experts and you and everybody else on it. So excited.
So exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I jump in and just share some logistics for anyone who's joining the summit? I know we get a lot of sort of the same questions, so I just thought I would speak to those. So for those who you know, are ready to dive in and learn about sugar and get some serious inspiration, obviously come and hear Amber's interview. You come over to quitsugarsummit.com. Amber, I'm sure you have the link in your Instagram bio there for everyone to come and join. And what happens is on Monday, everyone who's on that list, you're going to get an email from Mike on Monday with the speakers of the day. So Monday, September 6th, we kick things off. We're also doing a live opening ceremony party at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 6th over on our Facebook page. And every day next week, for 7 days, you're going to get, for free, by the way, if I haven't said that already, you're going to be able to watch these speakers kind of for 24 hours. And then we release the next. Mike and I went crazy. Okay, so I think we've got something like 62 speakers spread out over the week. So as you can see on the website, you keep scrolling, it keeps going. And so it's, 9 or 10 a day that you get to watch and, follow along for the week and really tune in to those who or maybe some new faces that you've never heard in before and really get inspired and get the tools that you need to really get off sugar. And if you want, you can upgrade to one of the speaker packages. So we've got 2 really reasonably priced packages depending on kind of what you want. If you want the audio version so you can listen while you're out on hikes, throughout the year, you can do that as well. And a lot of people opt to do that so they're not pressured next week because we know it's a lot. We know it's a full-time job as Mike did the math and figured it out. It's a full-time job if you're watching the summit next week.
Yeah, there's a ton of speakers and good speakers, like really good speakers. As I was going through the list, I was like, oh, I'm so humbled here. It's like, whoa, there's some really good stuff. So y'all, please check into this summit. And it's free, for heaven's sakes. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. But, if you aren't able to watch it as it's happening, the speaker packages are the way to go. And yeah. Talk just a little bit more about that. I think people don't really probably understand the difference. Like, you can watch it live for free, but then if you want to watch it at your leisure, and this is you can watch it anytime for how long? Forever.
Ever. And the best part is too, one of the things that we've just started doing is including previous summits. So anyone who jumps in and purchases the package, one of the 2 packages this year, will get, I think it's the last 3 years as well. So back into 2019, our last 3 summits with different speakers. And so really unlimited motivation. And one of the things too, that is such a bonus to have that is, I was actually on a client call yesterday. One of my clients who's in the aftermath, now she's in sort of the maintenance stage, which is so beautiful to watch her be there and got into that place. And she was picking my brain about, what are some tools to use for ongoing support, for ongoing success, right? Because this isn't like a one and done when we're talking about sugar. We need to stay wrapped in community and continue supporting ourselves. So one of the things I reminded her to do was to continue listening, continue learning, continue being involved in, sugar education, right? So with something like the summit, we have every year, so many people say how, even once they've gotten off sugar, they come back and they listen to the interviews to re-inspire, right? Remotivate, whether it's once a month or once a week or daily, they're really listening to those again and again because you get something different out of every time. So it's a really huge benefit, and I already mentioned about the audios, which is a big one. We get a lot of love every year for people who purchase that one and get the audios because they can listen while they're cooking or while they're driving or while they're hiking, just like a podcast, which is beautiful in this busy day and age. We know everybody's busy, so that's a great option.
Yeah, for sure. I think the audio is so many people use that. I know, like my son, he's a UPS driver, so he listens to podcasts all day long. So I love that y'all are offering that. I think that's a huge thing for sure. Okay, Mike, I want to catch you up. Now, Danny's already kind of given her response, but a question a lot of people will ask, is about some people, should I say, they make these claims like, well, there's nothing wrong with sugar. You just have to moderate.
Right.
What's your take on that one?
Yeah, I mean, one of the speakers, Bitten Johnson, kind of developed, she developed it, but it kind of got developed at the Food Addiction Institute as well, is there's a breakdown, and the breakdown is simple. It kind of tracks with the obesity numbers. About a third of people biochemically cannot use this product. They set up cravings, weight gain, and all kind of health problems. They are potential food or sugar addicts, right? And then there's another third that is what she calls harmful users, right? Harmful users are people that, because of the society and 75% of the food products have sugar in them, they don't realize they pushed an addiction. Now they've gained 2 or 3 pounds every year since high school, right? This kind of resonates with a lot of our people, right? They don't understand it. They're smart. They got a great job. They work out 3 times a week. But this, 2 or 3 pounds just keeps adding every year, and they can't figure it out. And so that group, the harmful users, could fall into food addiction, right? And then there's a third of people who are normies, and those folks can take it or leave it. We all hate those folks. But, it's like there's 2/3 of the population that is obese or overweight, right? And now, look, I'm going to clarify. You can be very thin and be a sugar addict. But for the most part, it does add additional weight. It's one of the byproducts. And for some people, moderation does not work. Now, I want to clarify this, because if you have brown eyes, no one bothers you, okay? If you have blue eyes, no one bothers you. If you're a sugar addict, no one should bother you. Biochemically, this is how you came out of the womb. It's okay. But it is your responsibility to understand that this may not serve you as a product that you need to eat. And, if it's given you trouble, I always tell people to take what I call a scratch test. You go in to the allergist and you get a scratch test for pollen or rust or dust or ragweed or something, find out if you're allergic. So here's our scratch test. Just go 30 days, no sugar, no flour. We try no caffeine, but just no sugar, no flour, and try it and see what happens. We're adults here, right, gang? Just try it. We'll give you all your money back. We'll give you all your weight back. We'll give you all your acne back. We'll give it all back to you if it does not work out for you, right? And you'll get to see, too, what happens on the 31st day or the 61st day or the 91st day when you do have a little bit of sugar. What will happen is you'll get this like accentuated buzz. You'll understand that your body just doesn't treat the product well. So, I think we just have to move away from the stigma of it all. And moderation for some people just doesn't work.
Okay, I've had these comments, and this triggers me, where people will say, well, it's not about the addiction. It's just that you're lazy. You just don't.
Look, one thing I want to bring up really quickly, and I believe this, and I've studied, and there's so many scientists that they're not quite to this, but there is some. I believe, like marijuana, that sugar is an amotivational syndrome drug, that it creates the laziness. Literally, the product creates the laziness. Because look, back in the day, in order to get dopamine, you had to do something physical. You had to chase down a food source. You had to walk. You had to do something to get the dopamine. Now you can sit on the couch and get the dopamine. You don't need to play tennis to get dopamine. You just sit on the couch. And so it's created the society of dopamine addicts who get their fix by the sugar, not by the activity or the food, the healthy food. So, I mean, I can't allow people to leave with that belief. They are not lazy. They are stimulating their brain in the wrong way with a product that probably, was not supposed to be in their body. But I think the fact that it's sweet, like sugar, is the cruelest joke the universe ever played on anyone.
I totally agree with what you're saying, Mike. And I can see Maggie's comment there too about dopamine. I think that's such a fascinating thing just to bring out of that, in like really understanding the damage that this overconsumption of sugar is doing to our dopamine receptors, right? And understanding that for so many of us, myself included, before I got off the crap, if I can say that here,
Sure you can.
that was the only place I got my dopamine, right? Like it was this like my brain was so accustomed to these huge hits. I mean, I'm thankful in a way it wasn't cocaine, but it was just the same as cocaine, the other white powder, and firing those dopamine centers like crazy. And eventually they get so overstimulated that they stop working, right? And they start really, not feeling the joy from things like watching a sunset or even playing tennis anymore. Like those things don't even give you the same dopamine hit because your brain has been so overstimulated from something like sugar, which is so powerful. And it's been designed to be that powerful, by the way, by the food industry and nature, I guess,
Yes.
part and fault of nature. And we need to understand that there will be a period of time. And Maggie, you know, thanks for sharing that, right? That maybe you feel like you're not producing dopamine naturally anymore. Or you don't know how to get that dopamine hit naturally anymore. And that is one of the things, like Mike's saying, you know, after 30 days, and for some people it's a bit longer, for some people it's a bit shorter, you know, your body can start to, same with your energy receptors, if we can call them that, right? Your body will start to learn how to naturally do that. It's like for anyone who's hopped up on coffee, you know, your body is relying on coffee to produce energy, and your natural energy production is kind of put on the back burner because it's not needed because you're hopped up on caffeine, right? So when we start taking those substances away, your body can rebalance. Your body, you know, obviously with the right support and right nutrition, you know, being sure that you're getting, you know, the right nutrients, but, you know, your body can rebalance, and you'll start to notice that those new things give you joy that they never used to before, you know, or that you never used to be able to sit down and, like I said, you know, watch the sunset and feel this like euphoric happiness. And now that starts to happen for you. So understand that as you're getting off, there'll be a period of time where you don't feel that, and you feel flat, and you feel dead inside, right? Or whatever you want to call it, or kind of plateau, but just know on the other side of that, there's just so much joy and so much dopamine from natural sources.
And freedom. Freedom is the best.
Yes.
I will tell you.
Yes.
There's nothing that felt so incredibly good as when that little monkey just got off on my back. And here's something that really aggravates me about this whole thing is that sugar, food, carbs, whatever you want to say, is actually an encouraged addiction. So what we see all over the place, you know, the Golden Girls, oh, they had a bad day. They sit around the kitchen table and they eat pie or cheesecake or whatever. And, you know, it's actually encouraged. And then you treat the person like they're some kind of freak because they can't moderate it. But yet, would you say that to an alcoholic? Would you tell an alcoholic,
right,
oh, well, you know,
just have one.
Just stop drinking. Just, you know, quit being lazy. Just get with it and stop. But, you know, at least with an alcoholic, to an extent, they can get away from that. But with a sugar addiction, I mean, you have that stuff in your face 24/7. I mean, I've talked to people who have been drug addicts, alcoholics, and they said that the food addiction, sugar addiction specifically, was by far the hardest addiction to break.
Yeah. Well, it's cheap, right? It's so cheap. It's socially acceptable. It's at the checkout store, at the grocery store, right? You don't buy, you know, alcohol. Well, I mean, in Canada, I'm in Canada, so we don't have that here, alcohol at the checkout. But, you know, like, it's just, it's so pushed and ingrained in every situation in our society, right? It's ingrained in every emotion, ingrained in every social situation, you know, whether it's a party or a picnic or a barbecue. And as you were mentioning a bit earlier, and it reminded me, I was just watching a movie the other day. One of the side byproducts, and I'm sure you do this too, Mike, is, you know, once you become so aware and awake when it comes to sugar and what the food industry is actually doing, you'll never watch movies the same way again. I am so like angry when I watch movies now in like an empowering way. You know, I was watching one the other day, and a girl was having a hard day and she was crying, and her best friend said, "Shall we go get some ice cream?" And she was like, "Yes, please. That'll make me feel better." And I'm like, no, like that cycle and that messaging has to stop. That whole, as soon as you're feeling sad, let's go eat ice cream, right? Your boyfriend broke up with you, let's go eat ice cream. And it's in every single movie. There's some sort of emotional perpetuation or in media in general. But, you know, when I watch movies, I love watching movies, and it's in every one that I see. I always catch something where they're using food, and especially sugar, to cope with some sort of emotion. And it's, you know, it's that, you know, just being perpetuated that is getting so many people stuck in this trap.
It starts young too. I mean, parents do it to their kids. You know, you're upset, here's a cookie, you know, here, go to the TV or whatever, because they don't have time. They got to make dinner, or they got to go get to work or whatever. And so, you know, it starts really young, and the reward system has to change. We can't have sugary treats rewards for school or for athletics. Just have to change that. And just so the folks know that the summit is dedicated to the children of the world. It's dedicated to the folks, the young people who, I mean, gosh, it's really hard. The part that hurts my heart the most is that, kids don't mean to be mean, but like when you're an overweight child, you got a tough go of it coming through school and stuff. It's just, it ruins your whole self-esteem for your life because people, they're always bothering you, right? Yeah, you see it, and it's hard for young kids. And look, they're not buying groceries, and they're not choosing the foodstuffs. They are, being fed this stuff by their quote unquote parents who think that, and I don't want to be really harsh on that. I'm not shaming the parents because they're involved in a system, but this awareness that we're raising on the summit is part of our mission. Yes, we have food experts, we have addiction experts, we have eating experts, we have all this kind of, but moreover, we're trying to raise the awareness, right? We're trying to but we have people that come in who have never even drank water in their life. All they've ever drank was soda or tea, sweet tea. They just don't like water, they say. And the same thing with kids that won't eat anything but white stuff, pasta and
That was
whatever.
me.
Chicken McNuggets and whatever. And it's this awareness that we want to grow in the marketplace so that people just kind of start to understand it. You don't have to align with a late stage food addiction or anything, but one of the terms I like people use is harmful user. You could be just a harmful user. You're not maybe an addict. But you just need more people, folks, everyone needs more awareness of what we're excited about and what we founded the summit on, which is the science of all this. We originally had all college professors and stuff, and then we started to get people like Amber on who got a little bit of an audience and can actually help spread the message, but we still have all the scientists on, right? We still have all of these people have been languishing in anonymity for decades. Michael Gorin here at USC, he's been studying childhood obesity for 30 years, and he has raised $50 million. The laboratory at USC is named the Gorin Laboratory. But look, no one knew about Michael till he wrote his book, Sugar Proof, and still that book's not selling that great. So look, I mean, we just want to get more people aware of this and get the message out.
Yeah.
And Brenda, we all have mom guilt. I did it too. So it's something that we grew up with too. So right. It's not really our fault. I mean, if you want to play the blame game, really,
right.
We've been conditioned to believe this. So don't feel the guilt. I mean,
100%.
Aware and be the example. That's what you can do now. Don't make this about it being a guilt thing, because oh God, if I went back, oh please. I mean, my daughter ate tortillas and sugar. Okay, I mean, that's all we could get her to eat. So, and I was happy she ate that. So don't do the thing, because that's not what it's about. It's really not.
I agree.
I love this conversation because it's not our fault. And I think we take so much of that blame, whether or not we're mothers, but it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to do something about it. So please know that, like, if you're feeling the guilt, like, let that shit go and know that you can do something about it. And the summit is here to help you with that. And I want to touch on something you were talking about earlier, Mike, really quickly, with this whole conversation around the kids and obviously dedicating to the summit to the kids. One thing that just makes me so fired up and triggered is this whole understanding. And we had a friend over last night that I haven't connected with in a long time, and she's just becoming a teacher. And we were talking about, and I see this with my nieces and nephews, and any time I talk to a teacher or a classroom, right? The prevalence of children with learning disabilities, quote unquote, right? Or these, all of these, mental issues or behavioral issues in the classroom, and they're just being covered up with medication. And it drives me so angry because all of these children are not at fault. They are hopped up on so much sugar that their brain literally cannot function. It's like, imagine giving your child a huge hit of cocaine and then sending them off to school, and then they have behavioral issues and you think there's something wrong with your child, so you give them medication to calm them down. And it's just like, it makes me so angry how that system is set up. And no shame or blame or guilt at all here, but please let that fire you up, and know that if you have a child or know a child that is having problems in school and can't sit down and focus and is really struggling, try getting them off sugar for 30 days and just see what happens. Just watch what is going to happen to that child's brain and their ability to be, I mean, needless to say, we're going against like childhood natural behavior and making them sit still and like, you know, for long periods of time. And that's another problem. But, you know, in general, like just watch that behavior and those changes take place just based off of what you're feeding them. So please, get your kids off sugar, all of us. But definitely, you know, that's something that was so eye-opening and angering for me when I started seeing that happening, you know, in students and seeing this prevalence of, oh, just give them drugs. There's a problem with them. They've got ADHD, give them drugs, right? And it's like, no, stop it. Just stop it, please.
I get some pushback. Like if you make a comment like that, and I'm not talking in a judgmental way, but just in like a conversation, it's all of a sudden this wall is put up. You don't know what you're talking about because this is, it's always been, and you know, my doctor, blah, blah, blah. And it's
my doctor.
They're so resistant because they're so programmed to believe that this is the way it's supposed to be. And I mean, that's our
because everyone else is doing it,
and
right? Their friend and
that's right. And my mama told me, and my friend, and my doctor, and my blah blah blah. You know, the government, whatever. You know, so it's so frustrating. It's like just try it, just try it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fine, I'll admit it. You know.
Yeah. What do they have to lose? Is
what
right.
do you have
just
to lose?
Try it.
2 weeks, a week, like 1 week.
The hard part,
try
look,
a week.
I tell you, if they tell you to stop eating broccoli for a month or steak for a month, they're like, I like broccoli, I like steak, but they do it, no problem. But when you start to take away their sugar, strange things happen. Like
the beast
they
comes
get this, and they're like, no way, this is never going to happen, kind of thing. And it's so I call it adulting. You know, look, and I don't mean to be harsh, and I'm not blaming anybody, because I believe it's the big food producers that are giving the, you know, they're literally sliding people into MRIs and testing their products while they watch their brain light up. But that said, you know, it is our responsibility to at least try to see if maybe some of the speakers on the summit, or Amber or Danny or I, are, you know, maybe speaking truth from experience, that, you know, your life will be better if you give yourself a breather. And look, it doesn't always happen immediately. You don't just wake up one day, say, I'm quitting sugar, and you never have it again. It's a process. You know, it takes time. You go a week, you have a little. You go a month, and you have a little. You know, it takes time. But after a while, you start, I call it healing up, because you are actually genuinely healing up. Your insides, your metabolic health, your inflammation, all this stuff is healed. Your brain is healing up, gang, your brain. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they call it diabetes, they're calling Alzheimer's diabetes 3, because they think there's they know that statistically there's a relationship that people have diabetes 2 more people end up with Alzheimer's. So it's a, you know, it's a brain inflammation thing, right? And we all know that, you know, diabetes, sugar affects diabetes, or, you know, maybe even causes it. I mean, so look, it's like I'm trying to like present an argument like Gary Taubes, the speaker on our last summit, read an entire book this thick about the case against sugar like a lawyer. We're trying to just say, give it a try. Just listen to the summit. So many people got their start on the summit. It's kind of crazy. But, you know, 60 people, 60 different viewpoints. It's not going to be like everybody's a scientist and everybody. We got some real colorful characters. Code Red Christie, Amber. You know, we got a lot of really colorful characters that it's funny and fun to watch. These people are not humorless scientists. These are really cool folks that have done it themselves. So please tune in.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay. I wanted to just ask something really quick for some of the viewers. When you stop sugar, you have withdrawal symptoms, right? I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
and so
it happens.
Correlate out with, this is not working. I feel terrible. Something's not right. I need the sugar then, because this is terrible. Would you kind of explain that withdrawal thing going on and what maybe some of the symptoms are? Because I think people kind of get that false sense that, you know, they immediately, oh, this is bad. This is terrible.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure we'll both weigh in on this. I'll jump in first. you know, it really is. Please know that it's an important part of the process. So when you're detoxing from anything, you know, when you think of alcohol detox, right, you can see that the person needs to go through the darkness or the withdrawal symptoms, right, because their body needs to purge the toxins, right? It needs to purge what's going on in the body. So that is very much an important part of the process, and very, you know, okay. And I think, you know, there's so many things that you can do to help yourself during that period of time, which could last a couple days, it could last a couple weeks, depending on your body. You know, things like headaches, or, you know, moodiness, you know, tiredness, kind of all the things that you experience because you're hopped up on sugar, but amplified as you're getting off. And you know, it's this byproduct of your body doing what it needs to do in flushing out these toxins. Your body is actually going into shock. It's like, what's going on? Where's the sugar that I'm so used to just fueling on? What's happening? And your body's confused. Your body doesn't know what's going on. Your hormones are confused. Your blood sugar's confused. And it does take a bit of time to really just rebalance. So, you know, setting yourself up for some serious success. You know, whenever I, you know, do detoxes, not around sugar, but I'll do cleanses and stuff throughout the year. And, you know, I always plan ahead, like, okay, I'm going to start on this day. And this week, the first week, I'm going to build in some extra self-care. I'm not going to have any plans in the evening. I'm going to take long baths. I'm going to go for walks during the day. I'm going to take it easy. You know, you can kind of plan in advance for, you know, supporting yourself during that time. So you're not busy at work, right? Allow your week during that week, and really just lean into all those self-care practices, and hydrate and sleep. And I mean, there's so many things. I'll share a few more, you know, that you can do to actually make that not so bad. And a reminder too, for a lot of people, at least in my experience, a lot of people, it's actually not that bad. It's not that bad. I think in our mind, we build it up to be, and so many people maybe watching build it up to be this like horrible month-long torture, you know, experience. And yes, for some people it's really tough, but for a lot of people it's not that bad. It's a couple headaches, you're feeling tired, maybe a bit moody. 3 days, yeah, it could be 3 days.
3 days for me.
Yeah, and done, right? And then you're back, and then you start noticing the energy come back. You start noticing yourself think clearly. You start noticing yourself not be asleep at 2 o'clock every afternoon, right? You start noticing these shifts, and it just keeps going from there. So just know that you're probably making it a bigger deal in your head than, because I know this is an excuse a lot of my clients use. I'm sure you see that too, Mike. Like, well, it's just going to be too painful, so I'm not going to do it, right? So just know that you're probably building it up. You're making it a bigger deal. You think it's going to be harder than it is. It's crazy how we do that as humans. We do that in everything. And just know that it's what's on the other side is so much more addicting and rewarding and free than you can ever imagine. Yeah, Mike, what are your top tips?
Completely. Yeah, I agree completely. Look, it's like I can't take away the fact that it will be a little bit hard before it gets easy, before the sun comes back out. There is some stuff you're going to go through. You've been ingesting a drug, a lot of it, for 20, 30 teaspoons a day for a long time. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And it happens, like Amber said, pretty quickly for some. And so, look, there's a great new book out called Dopamine Nations. And she says, look, it's going to be harder for a little bit. And you just have to accept that. But the way to get through that is to get with a bunch of people, a group of people that is doing the same thing. That helps, right? Because you don't feel so isolated. A lot of times folks are the only person in their family doing it. Like, they could be the mom who's got to feed the kids and the spouse and whatever, but no one's done the research. No one's felt annoyed by the sugar, and so they're not really ready to change. And trying to make them change is a waste of your time. So get with other people that are doing it. And obviously, like Danny said, hydrate well and eat whole, nutritious foods. There are a few supplements you can take. We have one person on the summit, Kristen, talks about magnesium. Magnesium is a very important part of the process if you want to, get some supplementation. And we've always had folks on the summit that talk about the amino acids. So there's ways to mitigate the hurt and the pains. Tylenol might just be, you're going to have some headaches. You're going to feel a little blue. Sleep a little more. You're going to be starving. It's a weird byproduct, but you're going to be starving. So
I remember that.
Yeah, you just got to eat something. I mean, you can eat whole food. And it's okay to overeat a little bit during that time period. It's not going to kill you, because it'll get you past the sugar addiction, and you're not going to be overeating all the time. So just get through that first 30 or 60 days, and see what happens. That's all we can ask. And again, it's not a linear process. It's 2 steps forward and 1 back. You just got to keep, if you don't stop, if you don't fail, one of the things about the summit and some people that grab the speaker package, at this point, there's over 200 videos in there, right? Now, there's some speakers that repeat, which is good for some folks, but still, you know, you could literally for half a year watch 1 a day and get this motivation from another point of view to make sure you get to the other side, right?
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do. Like I said, we'll refund all of your acne and all of your weight. I mean, weight is just a byproduct, right?
Yeah.
And here's the main benefit people talk about. And I can't believe it. They've lost 100 or more pounds, and they say, my brain came back online. I can think better. I can remember better. I can do my job better. I can process better. And they're like, that's so amazing to them. They think like, I am a smart person, or I was a smart person, and now I'm performing better, right? And so there's a lot of ancillary benefits that people don't think about or realize, right? So just give it a try. It's not the end of and I always tell people, think nicotine, not heroin or alcohol. It's like, it's annoying, it's niggling, it's a pain in the butt, but just get to the other side and check it out.
And it's like this much of your life, like an itty bitty time to be free for the rest of your life. I promise it is the most worthwhile thing I've ever done, because having that that weight off your chest, that nagging, and somebody is talking about how bad cravings are, how do you get over that or whatever. Okay, like the addiction part, I don't think is that difficult. You just, it's painful for a little bit, but then you kind of get over that part. But the part I think you're dealing with is more the mental part of the psychological addiction to it, and that's a whole different story, and it takes a lot of work and that will take a long time, and that can cause you to have cravings as well as lack of sleep, blah blah blah. So there's a whole lot going into that, and I bet you there are plenty of people in the summit that go over this exact thing. But there's kind of 2 different things there, the mental and the actual physical addiction. So
for sure. And I get asked that a lot. And I think it was Shelby that was asking that. I was seeing that in the comments, and she's saying she signed up. So Shelby, so excited to see you at the summit. Yes. And yeah, Amber, you totally hit the nail on the head. Like when I talk about that, it is really this balance between, yes, the very real physical addiction, which the detox is there to help with that, right? Get it out of your body, get it out. But when we talk about cravings, it's a huge conversation, something I'm really passionate about talking about with my clients, because there's so many different places that cravings can come from. And you absolutely hit on a few. It's like there's emotional cravings, there's habits, there's cravings for connection, right? Or joy, or maybe missing nutrients, right? I mean, so many people walking around without, micronutrients that maybe they need in their body that can lead to cravings, or gut damage or gut health. But these, the mental, like our thought patterns and our belief systems and our values and our identities, all these inner pieces, that's my passion in my work, and what I do so differently around sugars. I really dive in. Yes, I love it, Amber. We need to dive into the deep root causes and these inner patterns that are actually the root cause, so that in the long run, we don't keep slipping back into these old patterns. So when we can do that inner healing, this is where I talked about earlier, we can find that happy balance and relationship. For some people, I know that Mike's kind of on the other side with that, but we've got different experiences with our clients. But there's no one way, of course, but there is a big component that most people forget about, is the mental, emotional, pieces, the trauma, the pieces that stem from childhood for most of us that need to be worked through. And they're also the hardest part. They're the hardest part. It's so much easier to just go off of sugar. It's so black and white to just cut sugar out, right? But when we have to start doing that inner work, it is painful and hard, and that is exactly why most people avoid it, and they never find sugar freedom, and they never get off it. And I hope that's none of you watching. I hope that the summit really empowers you to go into the storm and come out the other side just totally free and alive. So worth it.
I love that. I like how you said that. I love that. That's a good quote.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
Yeah, no, I want to. This is how Danny and I met. Like, she was one of the first persons, voluntarily, if you will, who just cold emailed me or whatever and talked about the emotional piece of this puzzle, right? And it's like, yes, once you get past the physical stuff, people have to realize, that they have been using sugar to manage their emotions since they were a child. Their parents probably did it, right? And now it doesn't serve you anymore. It doesn't, and you're probably doing it unconsciously. Like, you just think it's your life because you can just reach for this product. It's not a problem. It's going to be mostly free. It's going to be around the house or wherever you're at. You can just reach for a soda or whatever, and you just continue the process. And people don't give the respect of sugar. If you remember Rodney Dangerfield, the funny comedian, he's like, I don't get no respect. Well, sugar gets no respect as a drug of psychoactive proportions that can really tamp down your emotions, right? And make you feel a little bit better, right? And the problem with sugar, like any drug, is that after a while, you just have to keep using it to keep even, you keep up with it, right? And so the people, it's not so much the big, Danny calls it the big T trauma or the little D trauma. It's not, sexual abuse or, back, physical abuse back in your, it's today, everyday stress about finances and health and your kids and everything that you're like,
pandemic?
The pandemic, you finally get to 8 o'clock, the kids are in bed, the job's not till tomorrow, and then you use the sugar for a little bit. When you wake up tomorrow, that problem's still there. And then you do it again and again and again, and you never emotionally worked through the problem. And the same thing, if you look at the drug and alcohol world, it's a very common construct if you went to treatment, that at 14 or 15, if you started using drugs, you stopped growing emotionally, right? And I always talk about the proverbial person who lost 100 pounds, who got off of sugar, fell to a right-sized body. They don't talk about the diet. They don't talk about the sugar. They talk about what we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. They talk about the emotional management, the emotional growth that they went through in the first year to understand that this stuff was actually helping them manipulate their emotions to make them feel better when they wanted to feel better. And, if they felt bad, they were using it like Danny was talking about when their boyfriend broke up with them. Once this light bulb goes on, Amber, once they understand this part of the process, they're on their way to healing. Yeah. Until that time, they're going to say, what do I eat? Can I have monk fruit? Can I have this? Yeah. Can I have that? Yeah. It's all a waste of time.
Where's the meal plan, Mike?
Yeah, where's the meal plan? And do I do walking or weightlifting? I'm like, look. Just realize that if you can get some abstinence, yes, you got to eat whole foods. But if you get to the other side of abstinence and you're eating whole food and drinking good water, then you're going to start seeing that the world looks a little bit different, and you've got to handle it a little. When you get nervous about work, you got to go take a walk. You got to manage that emotional life in a different way because you don't have your go-to. And again, it's not given the respect that it's a strong psychoactive that can do that, like a drug or like a alcohol or a more powerful drug. Yeah. But the volume, the dose makes the poison. I mean, we have never in our lives been a 24-hour period where we haven't had average 20 to 30 teaspoons of this stuff a day. We're just not like it's. I mean, people can't understand that on the 10th day they start crying for no reason, and they're like, "Why am I crying? There's nothing wrong. My life's great right now," because you didn't cry before, and you tamped it down with sugar. And this is like. This construct alone, if it were to be widely known, would change the world. Genuinely. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And a huge point to add here too. And a huge shout out to Brenda in the comments. I'm reading that, like, you're really working on some of this trauma clearing. And, and just like you were saying, Mike, like we hold on to every single emotion we don't allow ourselves to feel throughout our whole lives. We store that. And you can look at the work of like Gabor Mate, and I mean, his great book, When the Body Says No. There's so many research and science coming out now showing the actual physical damage when we hold in, the energy of these emotions for our life, leading to things like MS, heart disease, all sorts of, actual cellular changes in our body when we don't allow ourselves to feel. And doing this work, and this is really important because I know Mike will echo this, it is not meant to be done alone. Okay? Absolutely not meant to be done alone. You do need to reach out for help, especially if you notice that there's some trauma to process through, right? Or that these patterns, you can't really recognize them, or you don't know how to work through them or shift them, especially around the emotional help. So I know for me in my journey, I've had countless guys. I've worked with therapists and coaches and healers, and, you know, I've done a lot of deep work with different people, and I couldn't have done it without them. So please know that there's no shame in asking for help and getting, you know, going and finding the professionals that can help you clear out those emotions or those traumas, or work through, you know, all the root causes of what's going on for sugar.
I'm so glad you said that, because I will say that with my clients, 90% of it is exactly what you just talked about. Mm-hmm. It's not about the food. I mean, people aren't dumb. They can figure that out easy enough. Yeah. But it's the other stuff, and there is no shame in asking for help. And and I think it's so sad that our society has kind of made that a shameful thing, you know, like, oh, you're not strong enough, or, you know, you should be able to just get over it. Well, it doesn't really work that way. So, you know, get help when you need help. It's okay. Yeah. I did it. I did it too. So we're
not meant to do things alone.
It's okay. It's all right. So, okay, guys, well, we're coming up on time. So if y'all would just really quick do a good plug for the summit, anything, last words you want to say, go for it.
Just do it.
Go to Brenda's, go to Amber's link and check it out. Just to go over there and just check out the speakers and make sure it's free. It's 100% free.
If you only have time to watch one speaker next week, your life will be changed. So that's my bold claim. Don't be held back by the fact that there's a lot of speakers. You can always buy the package, you know, but you can just come in and watch one speaker a day, or whatever is going to really inspire you, and it will change the way you think and the way you see yourself and your world and sugar, and hopefully motivate you to get off. So thank you everyone and thank you, Amber, for having us on. This is so much fun.
Thank you.
Totally free. Starts on Monday. Totally free. Don't worry about it. Just go over there and just give us your email so we can tell you who the speakers are every day, because at as Danny said, 9 or 10 a day, it's like a full-time job if you don't know what's going on. It's like having a program, going to the ball game and getting a program, or whatever, or play and getting the program. So you need to know who's coming up next. So do that, and, you know, we'll send you the schedule. And look, as Danny said too, I can't add much, but it will change your life. It's so many people got their start on this summit. Last time we had, what was it? 17 million watch hours, 43,000 terabytes. Yeah. It's insane the amount of people that watch this summit and then start their journey into sugar freedom. And look, we try to stay away from the weight loss thing, but weight loss is genuinely a byproduct of it, okay?
It's a happy byproduct.
Yeah, this entire live for, what has it been, almost an hour, and we did not talk about weight loss. Can you imagine, right? We're talking about sugar. But it is a nice byproduct. So, gang, come on over, quit sugar, go to Brenda's or Amber's link and check it out.
Yeah, thanks,
I keep seeing Brenda down here. I'm like,
Brenda's sharing so much love in the comments. We love you, Brenda. Thank you for being here. And
thanks,
everyone else.
Yeah, Brenda, you've been awesome. And I will post a schedule on my page too. There is a link, and you can go in my bio. And plus, I will be posting more about the summit too. So.
Yeah, and Dolly's asking in the comments there, Dolly, the summit itself is not on Facebook. So it sounds like maybe you're not on Facebook, which is totally fine. Although Mike and I are live on our Quit Sugar Summit Facebook page every day next week, so for extra fun. But the actual event will just be hosted through a website. So you'll get an email link on the day of. So you don't need to have any social media platforms to follow along with the interviews.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all again for coming on, and I'm super excited about this summit, and I hope it's as big of a success as it's been in the past. I'm sure it's going to be even bigger now.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.